For them, I was just the help, but while they drank champagne, I saw something in the contract that would ruin their lives. The crystal flute trembled imperceptibly in Zara Williams' hand as she poured the vintage Dom Perignon. She was invisible. It was the first rule of high-end service at El Obsidian, Manhattan's most exclusive private dining club: be a ghost in a waistcoat. Do not speak unless spoken to. Do not make eye contact. Do not exist. But Zara had a problem. She could never turn her brain off. While the other servers focused on the level of the wine or the crumb-free state of the tablecloth, Zara's eyes were locked on the thick, leather-bound document resting in the center of the mahogany table. It was open to page 14. The text was dense, a wall of legal jargon and financial figures that would have looked like static to anyone else. To Zara, who had spent her nights earning a master's degree in applied mathematics while working double shifts to pay for her mother's dialysis, the numbers were a language. And right now, the language was screaming. The merger is unprecedented, Mr. Kim, the man in the charcoal suit said. This was Marcus Vance, CEO of V-Tech. He had a smile that showed too many teeth and eyes that did not smile at all. My team has ironed out the equity distribution. It's a 50-50 split on future assets, with your conglomerate absorbing the current liabilities. Standard procedure. Kim Juno, the man sitting at the head of the table, remained silent. He was younger than Zara expected a billionaire to be, perhaps 32, with sharp, aristocratic features and an air of terrifying stillness. He did not look at the contract, he looked at Vance. He was searching for a lie in the man's face, not in the numbers. Zara moved to refill Juno's water glass. Her gaze dropped to the paper again. Line 42. Variable interest entity structure, Class B shares to absorb 100% of debt leveraging post-acquisition. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She did the mental calculation instantly. It was not a standard absorption. The formula for the debt transfer was recursive. It relied on a projected valuation that did not exist yet. If Juno signed this, he would not just be buying a partner, he would be legally assuming $3 billion of toxic debt that was currently hidden in Vance's shell companies. It was a poison pill wrapped in legal silk. Do not say anything, she told herself. You need this job. You have rent due on Tuesday. You have the medical bills. She stepped back, clutching the silver pitcher. The room felt suddenly hot. If she spoke, she would be fired. She knew the manager, Mr. Rossi, was watching from the shadows near the kitchen door. Rossi fired people for sneezing too loudly. I believe we are ready, Vance said, uncapping a gold fountain pen. The click of the cap sounded like a gunshot in the quiet room. He slid the document toward Juno. Just on the dotted line, Juno. Let's make history. Juno picked up the pen. The nib hovered over the paper. Zara's breath hitched. She looked at Juno's hand, steady, powerful, about to sign away his empire. She looked at Vance's face, the suppressed triumph, the slight bead of sweat on his upper lip. He was stealing a legacy right in front of her eyes. The choice tore at her. Silence meant safety. Silence meant eating next week. But silence also meant watching a man be destroyed by a predator. The numbers on the page were an equation that did not balance, and Zara physically could not let an unbalanced equation stand. It went against the very fabric of her mind. Juno lowered the pen. The tip touched the fiber of the paper. The denominator is 0, Zara whispered. It was quiet, but in the acoustic perfection of the private room, it was audible. Juno's hand froze. Vance's head snapped up. Excuse me. Vance's voice was like a whip. Zara felt the blood drain from her face, but she could not stop now. The dam had broken. She stepped forward, clutching the water pitcher like a shield. Page 14. The debt leverage formula. If you integrate the Class B share value against the current market cap, the denominator becomes 0. It's an infinite debt loop. You are not buying his company, sir. You re-bailing out his bankruptcy. The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating, and absolute. Vance stared at her, his face turning a mottled shade of red. He let out a short, incredulous laugh that sounded more like a bark. He looked at Juno, gesturing dismissively at Zara with his expensive pen. Juno, I apologize. It seems the staff is drinking on the job. Vance turned his glare on Zara, his eyes cold and predatory. Do you have any idea what you re-interrupting? This is a $10 billion acquisition, and you are, what? A waitress. I am a mathematician, Zara said, her voice shaking but her chin held high. She looked directly at Juno. His dark eyes were fixed on her, unreadable, deep pools of calculation. Sir, look at the derivative clause. It's hidden in the footnotes. It links the debt to a shell company in the Caymans that, enough. Vance slammed his hand on the table. The crystal rattled. Manager. Rossi. Get this hysterical woman out of here immediately. The double doors swung open, and Mr. Rossi stormed in. His face was pale with panic. He did not even look at the contract. He only saw a disruption. He saw a waitress speaking to a billionaire. He saw his career flashing before his eyes. I am so sorry, Mr. Kim, Mr. Vance, Rossi sputtered, grabbing Zara's arm with a grip that bruised. She's new. She's clearly unstable. It would not happen again. Wait, Juno said. His voice was quiet, a low baritone that commanded instant attention. He had not moved his pen. She mentioned a derivative clause. Vance leaned in, blocking Juno's view of Zara, using his body to reclaim the space. Juno, please. She's looking for a payout. It's a classic shakedown. She throws out some buzzwords she heard on CNBC and hopes we throw cash at her to leave. It's pathetic. Are we really going to let a servant dictate the terms of a global merger? Vance's words were calculated perfectly. They targeted the pride of powerful men. Do not let the little people tell you what to do. Juno hesitated. He looked at Zara, then back at his old friend Vance. The trust built over years weighed against the word of a stranger in a uniform. Remove her, Vance commanded, taking charge. Rossi yanked Zara backward. You redone, he hissed in her ear. You refinished in the city. No, please, listen to me. Zara struggled, her heels skidding on the plush carpet. He's lying to you. Check the footnotes. Rossi dragged her through the kitchen doors. The moment they swung shut, the elegant silence of the dining room was replaced by the clatter of pans and the shouting of chefs. Rossi shoved her toward the exit to the alley. Get out, Rossi spat, pointing a trembling finger at the steel door. Do not bother changing. Do not bother coming back for your check. If I see your face near this building again, I am calling the police. But he's stealing from him. Zara cried, tears of frustration stinging her eyes. I saw the numbers. You saw nothing. You are a waitress. Rossi screamed, his face inches from hers. You serve food. You do not think. Now get out before I have you arrested for trespassing. He pushed her out the heavy steel door and slammed it shut. The lock clicked with a finality that echoed in her hollow stomach. Zara stood in the alley. It had started to rain, a cold, miserable New York drizzle that soaked through her thin uniform instantly. The smell of garbage and wet pavement filled her nose. She leaned against the brick wall, sliding down until she hit the wet asphalt. She checked her phone. A notification from her bank, balance, $12.40. She had failed. She had tried to be the hero, tried to use the brain that everyone told her was special, and all it had gotten her was fired and humiliated. Vance was right inside, smiling, probably making a joke about her while Juno signed his life away. She should go home. She should walk to the subway, jump the turnstile, and go hide under her covers. It was over. Then, she closed her eyes and saw the numbers again. They burned behind her eyelids. The equation. The elegance of the fraud. It was not just money. As she replayed the document in her mind, her photographic memory bringing up the text, she realized something she had missed in the first glance. A date. Effective date of transfer, retroactive to midnight this morning. Her eyes snapped open. The rain plastered her hair to her face, but her mind was crystal clear. Vance was not just offloading debt. The companies attached to the debt were currently under federal investigation. She had seen the headline on a discarded newspaper in the break room earlier. If Juno signed that contract with a retroactive date, he would not just be bankrupt. He would be criminally liable for Vance's fraud committed before the merger. Vance was not just stealing Juno's money. He was framing him to go to prison. Fear vanished, replaced by a cold, hard rage. Zara stood up. She wiped the rain and grime from her face. She was not a waitress anymore. She was the only person in the world who knew the truth. She ran to the heavy steel door. Locked. She pounded on it, but the kitchen noise drowned her out. She looked up. The service entrance was a fortress. She ran around to the front. The main entrance was guarded by two massive doormen who knew her face and had likely been radioed to keep her out. She needed a way in. Now. She scanned the building. On the side, near the valet stand, a busboy, Tommy, a kid she had helped with his math homework, was taking a smoke break, the side gate propped open with a brick. Zara sprinted. Zara. Rossi said you were, Tommy started, dropping his cigarette. Sorry, Tommy, she gasped, slipping past him before he could register what was happening. She kicked the brick away, letting the gate clang shut behind her, sealing them both inside the perimeter. She did not go to the kitchen. She went through the service corridors, a maze she had memorized. She took the stairs, taking them two at a time, her breath tearing at her lungs. Her uniform was wet, her hair wild, her mascara running. She looked like a madwoman. She reached the hallway leading to the obsidian room. The security guard, a burly man named Evans, stepped into her path, hand reaching for his taser. Miss Williams, you need to halt immediately. Get out of my way, Evans, she screamed. I see not do that. He grabbed her shoulder. He's framing him. Zara shrieked, twisting in his grip. She did not have the strength to fight him, but she had desperation. She stomped on his instep with her heel, hard. Evans grunted and loosened his grip for a fraction of a second. It was enough. Zara threw herself at the double mahogany doors. She burst into the private dining room like a storm. The scene inside was a tableau of imminent disaster. Juno had the pen on the paper. The ink was flowing. He had signed the first letter of his name, K. Itsa Rico predicate. Zara screamed, her voice cracking. The room exploded into chaos. Vance jumped up, knocking his chair over. Security. She's assaulting us. Two more guards rushed in behind Zara, grabbing her arms, pinning them behind her back. They forced her to her knees on the plush carpet. Pain shot through her shoulders, but she did not stop looking at Juno. He's not just bankrupt. Zara yelled, panting, her cheek pressed against the floor by a guard's heavy hand. The debt is tied to the Shell Corp under investigation by the SEC as of this morning. If you sign that with the retroactive clause, you become the legal owner of the fraud. He's sending you to prison in his place. Vance was pale. Deadly pale. Gag her, he hissed at the guards. She's insane. She's a stalker. I've never seen this woman before in my life. Juno had not moved. The pen was still touching the paper. He looked at the hysteria in Vance's eyes. He looked at the desperate sincerity in Zara's. Get her out. Vance shouted, his composure shattering. Sign the damn paper, Juno, and let us get out of here before this lunatic hurts someone. It was the wrong thing to say. Kim Juno was a predator in the boardroom, and he recognized the scent of fear. Vance smelled like terror. Let her up, Juno said. Sir, she's a security threat, the guard grunted. I said. Juno stood up, his height filling the room, his voice dropping to a terrifying whisper, let her up. The guards hesitated, then released Zara. She scrambled to her feet, rubbing her wrists. She looked wild, wet, and shaking, but her eyes were laser-focused. Show me, Juno said. Zara did not hesitate. She walked to the table, ignoring Vance, who looked like he was vibrating with the urge to tackle her. Her wet hands hovered over the pristine document. Here, she said, flipping pages with a trembling finger. Page 42, footnote C. Assumption of liability retroactive to midnight hours current date. She flipped back to the front. And here. The CUSIP number for the assets you reacquiring. Do you have a phone? Juno silently handed her his platinum smartphone. Zara punched in the CUSIP number into the search bar, adding, SEC investigation. She hit enter and slammed the phone onto the table, sliding it toward him. The screen displayed a breaking news alert from 30 minutes ago. Federal agents raid VTech subsidiary offices in massive embezzlement probe. The room went so quiet you could hear the rain hitting the window pane. Juno read the screen. He read the contract clause. He looked at the date. The math was simple. The logic was undeniable. If he had finished his signature, he would have been the owner of the company being raided. He would have been the fall guy. Slowly, Juno capped the pen. He placed it gently on the table. He turned to Vance. The look on Juno's face was not anger. It was something far worse. It was total, absolute disassembly. You tried to sell me your prison sentence, Juno said. Juno, listen, it's a misunderstanding, the lawyers, Vance stammered, backing away toward the door. I did not know about the raid, I swear, you drafted the retroactive clause, Juno said, his voice flat. You knew. Juno looked at the head of his security detail, detain Mr. Vance until the federal authorities arrive. I believe they will be very interested to know he is attempting to flee. You see not do this. Vance screamed as the guards, sensing the shift in power, grabbed him. I am your partner. You listen to this kitchen rat over me. Take him, Juno said. Vance was dragged out, screaming obscenities. The door clicked shut. Juno and Zara were alone in the room, save for the silent, stunned guards by the door. Zara felt the adrenaline crash. Her knees gave out. She grabbed the edge of the table to steady herself. She was soaking wet, she had assaulted a guard, and she was definitely fired. I should go, Zara whispered. I am sorry about the disturbance. She turned to leave, her pride the only thing keeping her upright. Zara Williams, Juno said. She froze. She had not realized he knew her name. He must have read her name tag before she was dragged out. Wait. Juno walked around the table. He did not look at her like she was the help anymore. He looked at her like she was a revelation. He stopped a foot away from her, ignoring the rainwater dripping from her uniform onto his Italian leather shoes. You did the recursive debt calculation in your head, he asked. While pouring champagne. It's just a derivative function, sir. It's clear if you look at the variables. My team of 12 corporate attorneys reviewed this for 3 weeks, Juno said, shaking his head slightly, as if in disbelief. They missed it. You saw it in 3 minutes. He reached out and took the water pitcher from her shaking hand, setting it on the table. Then he took a linen napkin and offered it to her. You re-fired from this restaurant, obviously, Juno said. Zara took the napkin, wiping her face. I know. Mr. Rossi made that clear. Good, Juno said. Because I see not have my chief financial analyst waiting tables. Zara looked up, her breath catching. What? I need eyes that see what others miss, Juno said, his gaze intense, stripping away the layers of class and circumstance that had separated them moments ago. I need someone who is not afraid to scream the truth when everyone else is staying silent to save their own skins. You just saved me $5 billion and 10 years in federal prison, Miss Williams. He pulled a business card from his pocket, writing a direct number on the back with the very pen he had almost used to sign his life away. Report to my office at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Your starting salary is triple whatever you think is fair. He pressed the card into her hand. His fingers were warm against her cold skin. Do not be late, he added, a ghost of a smile touching his lips. We have a lot of numbers to go over. Zara looked down at the card. The gold lettering of Kim Enterprises caught the light of the chandelier. She looked back up at him, and for the first time in her life, she did not feel invisible. She felt formidable. I am never late, she said. Juno watched her walk out of the room, not as a servant, but as the most powerful person in the building. And as the doors closed, he poured himself a glass of champagne, raising it to the empty chair where she had stood.